Is that the camera?
That's right there.
Right
Yeah.
there.
And if you look at on here, you'll see the camera.
All right.
All right.
Are you good with the camera angle? You can adjust it too.
I'm good. Well, are you guys good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want it to- Like with all that?
If we zoom in, it's gonna be very cool. We're not gonna be able to move much.
No.
So don't, it's up to you.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, everyone.
Hold on, it's just
Okay,
started.
welcome to CACR Speaker Series. My name is Antino Jam. I'm an information systems professor right there at Delhi School of Business. Probably one of the newest members of CACR Fellow. Today, I have the double privilege of introducing to you two fantastic speakers. First up, Mariana Swann, Associate Vice President for the Legal and Insurance vertical at Honduras. She built her career in cybersecurity leadership at places like RSA, DXC Technologies, and she brings a ton of expertise in cyber insurance, governance, compliance, and risk. Basically, the whole breadth there. She's also the founding member and chief growth officer of the International Women's Cyber Alliance, where she stays active on multiple strategic committee. Mariana earned her degree in business administration, with her focus on international business from the University of Maryland. We're also lucky to have Ori Brennan, an IU alum, who earned her JD here. She's now Associate Senior Counsel for Technology and Commercial Transactions at Johns Hopkins Medicine. Her work covers intellectual properties, IT, software licensing and procurement, IT, AI technologies, data privacy and security, and cyber breach and incident response. Ask her all about ransomware negotiation. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our speakers today. All together.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for making the time to come visit with us. As Dr. Kim said, my name is Mariana Swann. I live in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Oh, do you want to go over to?
Yeah.
I live in Northern Virginia. As he had mentioned, I went to the R.H. Smith School of Business in Maryland. I have a bachelor's in international business. When I graduated, I was like, what do I want to be when I grow up? What am I going to do? What are my strengths? Like, where do I want to like contribute? And so I started a career in sales. It was fun. It was rewarding, but I really wanted to kind of stand out, and I didn't want to be just another person in the room. And I didn't want to be the used car sales guy, if you will. I wanted to really bring some value and help kind of bring a little bit of oomph. So my first kind of definitive thing that I wanted to do was make sure that I believed in what I was doing. And so I thought, let me bring a little Mariana into this, right? And how do we become more engaged? And I thought the best way to do it is by creating my own brand, regardless of what name tag I'm wearing, regardless of who I'm representing or what company I'm working for. I want people to come to me because they know me, they trust me, they believe in what I'm giving them or what I'm standing for. And so that's kind of where it started. It was making key connections, making good kind of friendships, and figuring out where I could bring value. So as you guys can see, I've worked in cybersecurity, I've sold things, I've ran channels. I've been quite successful finding mentors and friends in the industry. And that's how I was able to work with a ton of other ladies building IWCA, which is my little pin. And I'll tell you guys all about that in a little bit. I'll let Corey introduce herself and then we can kind of get going.
I think I got it. There we go. Okay, this is me. I'm Corey Brennan. It's nice to meet you all. It's nice to be back here at IU. It's also nice to remember that when I became a law student after attending undergrad, I went from hot box pizza during these speaking sessions to Jimmy John's, which was a step up, until you eventually graduate and then you get all the leftover catering that's out at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyway, so free food is just a perk of this job forever. I have been practicing law for 5 years now, about half of a decade. But I did actually work in the cybersecurity and risk management industry before I became an attorney, as well as during my law school tenure. I worked full time and I went to law school in the evenings. I was a cybersecurity operations director for a very large health system at the time, which I just really truthfully happened into as a very young professional. I had no background or experience in cybersecurity, more so in the, I guess, people management side of things. But once I had the opportunity to work in cybersecurity and IT operations in a really hands-on role, I knew that it was something that I loved and that I wanted to do for the rest of my career. So at the time I had already been applying for law school and taking the LSAT and planning what that law school path was going to look like when I realized that I already really enjoyed what I was doing. So for me, I just continued on the law school path thinking, I may never actually become an attorney. I may never practice because I really like what I'm doing right now. And I couldn't see then how my education as an attorney could translate into a role where I still had the opportunity to, work on cybersecurity related projects, IT related projects. Luckily, I was introduced in my last year of law school to a law firm recruiter. I think actually was one of the partners at the firm who I met with, had coffee with, and he was like, hey, I think we're really interested in having building this practice within our firm specific to cybersecurity and technology transactions for healthcare organizations. And that was Paul Render, which is a small-ish size law firm in Indianapolis. And he said, I think that your skills, your translation of skills between your more operational background and your, education as an attorney would really translate well in this role of representing clients, working with clients who have technology issues, cybersecurity issues. So since the beginning of my career, I've had a very niche area of practice. It's always really been focused in healthcare. I've had other clients, other opportunities to expand beyond healthcare, but I keep coming back to healthcare because I really enjoy it and the mission based around working in healthcare. But I've always had the niche area of practice in the cybersecurity technology space and how that intersects with law. So I think that was sort of the point of this first piece of the branding exercise was when you have a specialty and you really derive that as like your foundation for building relationships and your network and your connections, it's much I wouldn't say easier, certainly.
Focused, I would say, yeah.
It's much more focused endeavor to create that professional network that have I guess like-minded individuals, people who you can actually, we'll go into this a little bit more in the presentation, but I am very introverted, techie.
I'm sure you can tell.
Of gal, and Mariana is like the epitome of the most amazing, charismatic extrovert. And so the first time we met, I was like, please don't ever let me go anywhere without you. Take me everywhere. But she's the best wingman. She'll be like, hey, have you met Corey? But those interactions have always been really difficult for me. I think I tend to be a little bit more cerebral. So I'm thinking all these things in my head that I don't ever really say out loud. And she has been phenomenal helping me for professional and personal growth in that area. But again, having that specialty area of, that focused practice, niche expertise will help you meet like-minded individuals who then makes those conversations a little bit easier. I'm terrible at like small talk is not my thing. Don't ask me to introduce myself. I don't know my last name. I just like freeze in those moments. But if you ask me to talk about cybersecurity or AI, we spent 2 hours talking about AI last night at dinner. I'm on it. I can do that. So it really does help whenever you're building that personal brand to have that area of focus, I guess.
And as we go through this, I want you guys to please interrupt, ask questions, jump in. Don't feel like we're talking at you. We really want this to be conversational and we want you to like get something out of it. So if you have questions, if you have like things that you want to add on or plug, like just shout it out. Like it's not that serious.
Just raise your hand.
We're all people. Yeah. So finding your professional niche, I think we talked a little bit about that as we have been introducing ourselves, but I think, identifying the gaps, looking around at like what's out there. We were talking about this last night, right? When you are gonna engage in a conversation, in a project, in a endeavor of sorts, kind of come in, look around, listen, see what is in place, see what's going on, and kind of get the wheels turning a little bit to see where you can add value, what things you can bring to the table. Then, talking about developing expertise, right? Then you come in and this is where I'm bringing a little bit of, excuse me, knowledge, learning about what you're doing, again, for me, I graduated in business. I knew nothing about cybersecurity. I knew nothing about regulatory compliance. I knew nothing about risk. I knew nothing about anything. And I was just like, just jump in, right? Like my first job, I was selling to the Navy and I'm like, then I was selling to the Army. Then I was like selling software, ITIL software. And little by little, I just kind of started learning. I learned about DNS. I learned about, why it was important. I learned about security. I learned about regulatory and compliance when I worked at a data center company selling fully managed compliance solutions to the government and like healthcare and finance, the kind of highest that you need in terms of security and it's like
Highly
vaulting it up.
regulated.
Yeah, highly regulated, et cetera. So I learned a lot. I still tell people, I'm like, I'm not technical. I've worked with the CTO at DXC running the cybersecurity incubator, and I'm like, don't talk to me about technology. I'm still learning it. It's still early, but like, I understand enough to be dangerous, but to be able to bring the right people in the room, right? And so as I qualify things, as I go through things in my head, I'm like, what things do I need to know so that I can engage the right people, bring them to the table and have the discussions with the clients or with people so I don't ultimately look like a fool. Because again, in the end, like I want people to look at me and know that I'm going to take care of them, that no matter what happens, I'm going to have the right people in the room to protect them, to help them, to assist. And again, something that I have to believe in. If I don't believe in something, I'm not going to work at a company where I know they're messing things up or they're, putting me and my name and my relationship with my end clients. And I point at Corey as an end client because in a past life, right, when she was at Hall Render, as an attorney that was doing the ransomware negotiations, the incident
Breach response.
response, right, breach response, the lawyers, the carriers, the brokers, they're all kind of a cybersecurity company's end client. Connect domain, so going back to this little fancy circle, create the value by translating between professional languages perspective. So again, just bring those, I guess I already covered that. And then expect, so I guess I covered the circle. Right, come in, look at what's going on, let your wheels turn a little bit, figure out what goes on and go from there with bringing your value. You wanna take
No,
this
that's
one?
not you, go for it. 5 minutes, I have the next one.
Okay, so I think this square for me, mentorship connections, is the most important one. As you build your career and as you build who you are and as you put yourself out there. My number one message or advice to everyone, new or existing or freshly graduated or undergrad or high school, it's find yourself a mentor, find someone that knows the space that's I don't know if I can say.
I think you can.
Someone solid in the industry, a leader, and hitch your wheel to your wagon to that person. Learn from them, get all the information that you can, ask all the questions. Make sure they have your back and they support you no matter what. In fact, I think both of our mentors are probably on the line, cheering us on and just probably laughing at us, being big
As
girls
usual.
now. But I mean, from my first job, even while I was in college, I worked for an attorney in a law firm for all 4 years in college. And, to this day, I still think of her as a mentor. And my CEO now, this is my third time working for him. I've known him for about 13 years and he is my biggest, obviously aside from my husband, my biggest supporter, right? He always has a chair for me at the table, be it the board or whoever. This is her idea. I support her, whatever she says, just listen. She's got perspective. She knows the stuff. And I just can't relay enough how important it is to have someone that has your back. It can help you gain insight, learn, and direct you the right way. It's critical. And also, once you get there, do the same thing for others. My father always said, when you get to the top, don't look down at people, pull them up with you. It's really, really important. I like to be a mentor to others and pass it on.
Is everyone in here a law student? No, business students as well.
One, two.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, what are the majors?
Too.
There are some techies
There
too?
might be.
Awesome.
Cyber risk.
Okay,
Oh, love it.
very cool.
Cyber risk?
Yes.
Cyber risk?
Yeah.
Cyber risk? What about you guys in the middle?
Decision.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I think
Okay, and what about in the back?
Well, I mentor some students.
Okay.
Okay,
And you're what, I'm sorry?
I mentor some students and.
Yeah, nice. Okay, amazing. So we got a little bit,
I think-
what did you say? I'm sorry?
techies.
Tech,
Techies.
okay.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I'm not
right.
a techie.
Okay, what about in the back? Well,
Yeah, JDMS.
love it. Okay, cool. So we got a little bit of everything. Nice.
The mentorship structure is quite a bit different. Again, just speaking with a little bit of expertise from or experience from both the operational or business side as well as the law firm life. The mentorship experience is quite a bit different in the legal profession to the business profession, no matter which side, you know, what industry you're in. I think it's you're in a law firm, your partners, the shareholders that you work with, the more experienced attorneys are sort of like built-in mentors, but that doesn't mean that they'll always be the best mentor for you. It can become very narrow in scope as far as your ability to grow and learn as an individual. If you really only seek mentors in the same practice area that you are in, or working on the same projects that you're working on, the partners that you work with every day are already going to have to tell you everything you screwed up and you just turned into them. So using that individual as a mentor isn't always the greatest idea because it doesn't give you the opportunity to like grow beyond that. And it's not always an advocacy situation in those, in those structures of mentorship. I think I found certainly that others that I met within, the industry in particular who had years of experience behind their belt, but also in areas that I was unfamiliar with or not as familiar with, that I was really interested in knowing more about. And I had the rapport built with those individuals to say, hey, I don't really know enough about this to be dangerous, or I probably cannot advise a client about this right now, but I'd really like to be able to do that in the future. So the next time that you have a call about this, that I can sit on and say absolutely nothing, but listen.
Yeah, fly on the wall.
Listen and learn. That can be really important. So finding the right person who's willing to trust you enough to have you there and learn, and that you won't speak up and say things you don't know anything about, which I'm pretty good at doing. Is really important for growing, not only as a professional, but also your personal brand, your reputation, the level of trust and respect that others will give to you in those situations.
Yeah, I agree. Look around, right? You guys, you're good at like what you don't know, and then also spotting that that's a person I want to be with or I want to be like. So I'm gonna reach out to that person and connect with them and strike up conversation and maybe go to lunch, or hey, can I grab a quick minute during coffee or after a conference? Like, hey, can I just pick your brain for a minute, connect with them on LinkedIn, follow up, ask questions. It's important to me, again, going back to my DSC days, with DXC days, it was called CSC at the time. Both of like, again, the CTO and the general manager that I was told, by the way, don't talk, don't be known, don't like stick yourself out too much, whatever. Of course I did. Come with me to the Gartner meetings, come with me to all these, like, meet the Microsoft executives, meet these other executives, and I was like, I don't know what they're saying, and I don't know anything about this, and I don't know how to talk risk, and I don't know. Just come on in, if somebody says something, that we'll kind of address that, but like, this is how you're gonna learn. We're gonna put you in front of them. We're gonna make sure you get the education. We're gonna make sure that you're in front of these people and having these conversations so that when you need to have them, you're ready and you have the information. And if you need me, I'm here.
Or at least you're comfortable being in the room because
Yeah,
you've been in the
yeah.
room before. That'll like, as you begin your professional careers where you're already in them, you're changing careers, whatever, it's like people will be like, well, there's a CEO in the room, and you're like, I've sat in the room with you. It's not
Right.
we're all treating each other.
It's not as intimidating, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that was like my big, like, I was always like, but I'm not the
Right.
CEO. I'm not. And it's like, you don't need to be, just be comfortable,
Right.
be in the room, have the presence, be around them and interact, right? Like, have that respect, obviously. And, that latter things respected, but also be comfortable enough to go to the CEO or whoever and bring a little bit of value or your insights or your personal. Subject matter expert collaboration. I think this is an area that, at least for me, where I sit, has made a huge difference. So Hondurans is an MDR, managed detection and response firm. We are a 24/7 SOC. We monitor environments. We do all these things kind of 24/7. We also have an incident response team, digital forensics. So a ton of forensics guys that get deployed when there's a breach. You call your insurance company and you say, we've been breached, we need help. we sit on those panels, we get brought in for those incidents. And that's how we work with lawyers, carriers, brokers, when there's, hey, we have a client that has been breached. Can you guys please come in, do whatever? And then we also have a cyber risk advisory practice. And we do risk assessments, penetration testing, vulnerability scanning. I mean, the whole gamut, you name it, HIPAA stuff, PCI, CMMC, et cetera. So I think a thing that has made a huge difference for us and for me in terms of getting into the cyber insurance world is I don't just seek out lawyers. I don't just seek out carriers. I don't just seek out brokers. I'm best friends with all of my competitors. We all switch information. We all help each other out because in the end, we don't want the bad guys to win. We want to make sure we're kind of a step ahead. A lot of people that meet me in the bars and at restaurants are, what are you doing hanging out with all your competitors? And I'm like, they're my best friends. It's important. It's important to connect. It's important that if we need additional bench or if, we have way too much work that we bring other people, it's important to make sure everybody stays connected. This whole idea of you're my competitor, I can't talk to you, works in some fields, but I think in the end, it's super helpful to at least people like myself.
Right.
And it also brings validation. When I was brand new in the industry and people were like, you're crazy to be hanging out with your competitors. It also validated me, right? People in the industry were like, oh, she knows this person and that person that are running things at these big global companies. She must know something. She must hang out with the right people. And, by association, it helped. And then strategic event selection. So understand what key events, what key networking conferences, et cetera. And that's how we met.
Or find a Mariana who will just drag you along to them. They'll be like, what are you doing next month? I'm like,
Yeah.
hopefully nothing.
Come shop and speak with me. It's great, but no, we do that. It's important. I run, again, my team. I decide what events we're gonna go to, where we're gonna be presenting, where we're gonna be showcasing, where I'm gonna have one person versus 10 people throughout the world. We decide who's going, who's coming. But again, having a presence, making sure your brand, not just your personal brand, but your company brand, obviously, it's important. We want to make sure you have it in front of all the right eyeballs and people. You want to make sure that it's prominent, and you want to make sure you have a presence. And so having come from a smaller company out of Indianapolis with 40 people, 10 years ago to now much bigger and have the presence, if you will, where everyone's like, wow, you're one of the top, like 3, if you will, IR companies in the world. It's amazing. And we've come a really long way. It's been great.
The only thing that I would add to that is, again, from an attorney's perspective, when I first became a practicing attorney and I was with a firm that would send us to any conference that we wanted to go to, networking, whatever, I have had the opportunity to attend several law-focused conferences like AHLA, the American Health Law Association, and ABA, American Bar Association, conferences that are specific to attorneys. Sometimes they'll specialize them, like an AHLA conference for IT attorneys, or that doesn't ever happen, but something similar to that, where IT attorneys go. But I've also had the ability to go to conferences that are specific to like operational leaders. So like the HIMSS conference is a very large health information management and systems is what HIMSS stands for. It's a very large conference that happens annually in Las Vegas or Orlando. It's huge. It's way overwhelming. But that conference is specific to operational leaders, or those who work in a day-to-day, boots on the ground in the IT and cybersecurity world. And so I am probably one of the few lawyers, and I get shit for it all the time, but one of the few lawyers who I just hate going to lawyer conferences. I don't feel like I derive a lot of value from going to a lawyer conference because it's stuff that I'm already doing every day. And like, of course it's great to hear like especially now that I'm in-house, it's great to hear what other organizations like mine, what their legal teams are doing and what issues they're facing, of course, because again, those are that's part of your network. But like if I wanted to hear about the issues we're facing every day, that's why I'm at work every day. Like it's very, it's a little redundant. So for me, I find I derive more value and learn more in conferences or events that include business leaders and like boots on the ground operational folks, because they're there. That's what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, is they're the ones that are managing the event detection and response or the threat research. And, that's what I want to know about, because as lawyers, we are typically very reactive to something's gone wrong, now we need to call in the lawyer. For those operational folks, they're dealing with things in the present, maybe not as proactive as I wish we could be, but in the present, and it comes to us at the end. When in law school, one of my professors used to say, like, law school really teaches you how to walk away from the plane crash. Law school doesn't really teach you how to fly the plane. So you like learn what happens in the end after someone's already been sued and what's happening now, right? But when you practice as an attorney, you're like flying the plane. And so I'm like, I only know what happens when I crash this thing. So you learn from others who are doing that day-to-day work that eventually will be your clients, or those are the folks that you're advising. I think that's important. It's very nuanced, of course, but I would just give that recommendation to anyone. Got it.
All right,
This is my side. Okay.
introvert.
Yes, so I think I mostly have honestly covered a lot of this. I don't know what time it is. Okay, good, we're good on time. Building your personal brand as an introvert. Again, Mariana was like, "I'm gonna do this presentation with me because like, I'm so extroverted and you're so techie and we could give a good, yin and yang," which is true, and that's how we operate in the industry, and it's very nice for me. But I think I just wanted to include this because it's not easy for everyone to show up to a conference or an event. As I mentioned, it can be incredibly overwhelming, even at a dinner where you're meeting 5 new people. For me, it can be incredibly overwhelming. I usually am like, I need a vacation from this conference because I need to sit in silence for 5 days to recover. But also, I think a big piece of that for me, and something that I've tried to continue growing in my professional career, is I've always operated under the desire that my work product speak for itself, that my ability to produce good quality work for my clients, or to earn respect and trust from clients and others in the industry because I'm good at what I do, is enough to create a solid network of people that I could call if I needed something. That, you know I'm good at what I do, so can't I just call you and ask you this question? And unfortunately, that's just not how it works, right? It's if I could sit back and like passively grow a network by just feeling really good about the brief I just wrote, or the risk assessment I just did, the breach response, that would be phenomenal, because that's just how I operate. But it's really it's important to focus on also building those quality relationships. And so for those of us who are not like Mariana, for me in particular, I'm very much a quality over quantity. I cannot handle large groups of people. I don't know where to start. I just get stuck like listening and hearing, and then again, like nothing actually comes out of it. I'm just like that. But when I'm one-on-one or even in smaller group settings, I have the I guess it's much more comfortable for me to ask questions. Who are you? What do you do? Like my husband is so charismatic and outgoing, and I'll be like, come with me to the football game or whatever, even if like a kid event. I'm like, their moms will be there, they're gonna talk to me, what to say. So it's something, I don't know, I feel that might be a type quality, but maybe it's not, maybe it's just me being weird, who knows? But I think for those of us who are more on the technical side, who are more comfortable maybe behind a computer than in front of large groups of people, just keep in mind that like the quality of work piece that's certainly a great strategy, but it will only get you so far. So you do have to put some effort into building and maintaining the
Socializing.
relationships. Yeah.
And by the way, I might be an introvert like you.
No, you're
I will tell you guys, and she knows this, and I think everybody that knows me, like I was always like, I don't want anyone reporting to me, and I don't ever want to do public speaking. Like ever. I hate it. I'm like, I'm gonna mess up, I'm gonna like screw this up, I'm
And
gonna
here
say
you
something,
are.
I'm gonna fall over, like, who knows? And here I am, yeah.
not uncomfortable, but yeah.
Yeah, you gotta just do it. You gotta just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You gotta develop those relationships. You gotta network. You gotta, continue to kind of meet with people and develop those relationships. I think it's really important. And again, public speaking, something I'm not comfortable with and I never wanted to do. And here I am managing a team and public
Regularly
speaking.
public speaking.
Regularly doing
Yeah.
it now. You gotta just start trying, right? Like even for us, like when my team would have me present to the board and I was like, oh my God, I'm like, okay, like for a week, like shaking and like, what am I gonna say? And just put yourself out there, keep trying, keep practicing, have those mentors help you out, practice in front of them, practice. My husband is always like, oh, why don't you practice? And I'm like, I don't want to, I don't want you to judge me. When I thrive, my favorite part is you put me in a conference with 100 people. And by the end, in like 3 hours, I'll be best friends with all 100. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like my CEO and I will show up places and he's very much like Corey, where he's like, I don't want to talk.
Oh
to
yeah,
anyone,
we'll
I'm
just
the
hide in the
CEO."
corner and talk about our
Yeah.
fantasy football team.
Just go do whatever. I'll talk to the one person I
It's
know.
pretty clear you're an extrovert. I'm saying, like, fear of public speaking, but when you make 100 friends that fast, I think that's.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is I'm out there qualifying and seeing like, what are you up to? What are you doing? What's your thing? Like, why are you here? Kind of thing. And then I'm like, hey, come here. I gotta introduce you to this person. Like, they're looking for this, that, and the other. You should talk to them about that. I'll see you guys in a minute. And then
Right.
move on to the next. And so I'm, I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm like, am I an extrovert, introvert? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we don't know. And I think
Don't give me a label. I'm just gonna go out there and do
That's
it.
it can be, I think, disheartening sometimes. And like, I mean, I remember some of these events I would go to in law school or, in graduate school, whatever. And I would hear presentations like this and be like, that just sounds great, but I could just never do that. And I want to, it's just like anything in your career. It's not like it's going to come easy, but I just knew like, I would be like, hey, my name's Corey. I just don't, but so it's disheartening to hear that. You sit there like, I don't think I could be like that. Great to hear it from you. But I'm here to say that you can do it. You can overcome some of those.
You should
fears,
do
or
it.
at least
Even if it
like,
doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
or at least like pick one person, pick two people.
Go shake a hand.
The quality of the conversations that you have with the one person or the two people like will just continue to grow your network slower than others, sure. But then you genuinely will have a list of people that you could call if you needed something.
Did you
And
have
that's really
something you wanted to?
important.
No, well, I was just gonna say I had written down here, I'm a hyper extrovert, but introverts are my people. All the other extroverts are too much.
Extrovert says that. Everyone's like, oh yeah, let me take
But,
you out for a week.
But having, managed and worked with introverts and frankly prefer them for my whole career. You don't have to go be friends with everybody, set a quota. I've had this explicit conversation with amazing people who, they go to that big event. I'm like, you don't have to be like me,
Yeah.
just 5 people, 3 new people a day,
Yeah.
whatever, meet that quota. The other one is accept that you are going to need recovery time.
For sure.
Yes.
Like that's just
Everyone
part of, you're
does.
going to be exhausted, not energized necessarily. And get drugged around by an extrovert. Attached to just like, come with me. And meet people that way and not have to do all the talking.
Yeah.
I would challenge every one of you. If you're an extrovert, bring a friend.
Yeah.
If you're not, like, just again, like you said, just make it a point to shake somebody's hand. You don't have to become their best friend. You don't even have to be friends or talk to them ever again. But go out there, introduce yourself, shake a hand, make yourself known. And add them to your LinkedIn network. I can't express the importance of LinkedIn. We'll talk about LinkedIn here in a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, LinkedIn, I remember when it started and I was like, oh, an app that helps me track all the people that I talk to.
Mhm.
And like now we can connect and I can post and like give them information and relevance, like. Sure, cool.
It's nice. And you're behind a computer, so it's good.
And I
choice.
stay where I'm
Yeah.
at, right, exactly. Yes,
Thanks. I had a couple questions. Quality or quantity, be choosy about which platforms and forums. What are the signals for you that tell you this is a quality platform, forum, event versus nope, I'm gonna pass on this one.
so sometimes I've been to events and you, I'm sure have too, where we go and I'm like, oh, that was a dud, like we just
Mhm.
spent all this money and like we didn't really get anything out of it. I try to make the best of it and sometimes every time I have to go back to my boss and tell him this is what came out of it. And maybe the learning lesson out of that is we'll never do that one again, like it just didn't work out for us. But I think once you start going, like do a little research in whatever area your heart desires, right? Whatever you're gonna be doing, learn about it a little bit, learn what the big events are, what like the people in groups in LinkedIn, similar people with the same roles, what they're posting about. Be that person, click on their profile, look at their post, at their past posts. What have they done? Where have they attended? Where have they given shout outs? What is kind of tickling their fancy that like you might want to look at, right? Look at what people they're following, look at what events they're going to, what groups, what they're posting about. Listen to a few of their webinars, go to their, other competitors' websites, look at their webinars, look at what they're hiring for, right? It's important to see what is out there and what they're hiring, what they're looking at. I've done all these things. I'm like, am I a weird stalker? Maybe a little bit. I'm not personally stalking somebody, but I'm certainly like stalking what they're doing to see what behaviors this role or this career or this thing needs me to do. And so I'll pick and choose from that. But yeah, I mean, I think looking at jobs, at job boards for different companies is key in terms, like for, again, we're an MDR. Sometimes we're like, okay, we're prospecting. What does the sales team need to do? Who do they need to go after? People hiring for SOCs or people hiring for SOC-like people, right? Like who's hiring, who's looking for, who put out the thing that they have a penetration test or a vulnerability scan coming, or who's CMMC, who has to go meet these new requirements for the government. And so then it's like, oh, that might be a good prospect for us to go after, but for events, same thing, right? Look at what other people like you are doing, right? And just track it. And then if you go, like if you can score a free ticket, a lot of times they have tickets for academia. A lot of times they have tickets for different things, sponsorship, friends. Yeah, exactly. Reach out to somebody in the industry. What did you think about this event? Was it worth it for you? Did you learn something? Was it worthwhile? If so, then maybe go once. If you like it, go back. See if you can become a speaker. See how you can, another thing that I've done is become close friends with the organizers for the conferences. A lot of times they give me like, hey, we got extra passes, or we can do this concession for you, or allow you to like take this room or do this thing. I mean, the Net Diligence Conference is one of the largest ones that we go to in the legal and insurance kind of space with carriers, brokers, et cetera. They asked me to be an ambassador a couple of years ago because they have a whole day program around risk and in cybersecurity. And so they have a ton of students come in, and it's like they have a bunch of us come in and speak with the students about what we're doing, what we're seeing, and we wear a sash like we're Miss America around the conference. But it's a sign of
Same color
ask me.
dress, they all wear the same color dresses.
It's a ask me sign, right? If you have questions, just ask me anything. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to talk. And they have the like boss of the bosses, people in the industry wearing these, where you can go and now you feel a little bit more comfortable talking to them. And by the way, when you go to conferences, a lot of times you'll see people wearing their badges and it says, I'm a speaker. They also say, ask me anything, right? And you can go to them and just say, hey, like, another thing, actually, if you're gonna go to a conference, look at who the speakers are.
That's what.
And yeah, look at
Look
who's
at the speakers
speaking
are, what
and
the
look at what they're
sessions are.
talking about.
Yeah.
Learn a little bit about them. And so when you go talk to them, it's not just, hey, I'm Mariana, but hey, I read that you did this or that you published that, and like that, whatever. I'd love to learn a little bit about that. Can we schedule some time? Can we schedule 5 minutes? Or can you just brief me, tell me about X, Y, and Z? And you'd be surprised how much people are really willing to help out and give to others. But you won't get that if you don't ask.
The only thing I'd add to that is two mistakes that I made in my early career. One being focusing on larger events, like larger conferences that, again, the value really was the networking piece. And I'm an academic at heart. And so for me, I really want to go and like actually attend the sessions and go to the networking stuff afterwards. So it's really, I prefer to look at what the agenda is and who's speaking and what they're speaking on. Also, cover your ears, but if there's too many vendors on the speaking, who are speaking on the agenda, then sometimes that'll give me a red flag because I feel like the vendors maybe aren't as like all in the
Paid
know.
content.
Yeah, as maybe someone who's dealing with something on a day-to-day basis, like a CISO or whatever. But the second mistake that I made, really specifically, again, I'll tell anyone this who asks, but I worked for a global organization. And so I participated and went to a lot of events that were all over the country, but very, very few, and some, I guess, like across the world, but very, very few in Indiana. I did a terrible job of becoming more involved in the community and the cyber and, IT and even healthcare industry or community in Indiana. And there's a ton of resources here, a
ton.
pretty large community and smaller pockets that have specialties. And I'm now like, years down the road thinking like, holy shit, I've never done this. I've never spoken at IU before. I've never, these are people that I had classes with, or, I've been here 100 million times but I've never spoken here. I've never gone to an alumni meeting or a club meeting or whatever. But even with industry specific organizations, I've just really done a bad job at that. And it has come back to bite me because now that I'm working remote, I work for Hopkins based in Baltimore, but I work from home. And so my colleagues are on Zoom. It would be phenomenal to be able to go get coffee with, someone who's in the Women in High Tech is a really great organization where all of those women work in tech. And I would love to be able to go to coffee with one of them. But I've never really participated in that. And so that's something that I'm recognizing now was a pretty big mistake for me early on.
Shout out to InSpin.
And
Shout out to
InSpin, that's
InSpin.
the Indiana Security and Privacy Network, which doesn't intentionally have a healthcare focus, but was created or founded by Paul Render, I think.
Yeah,
the
Mark
law firm
and-
that
yeah.
I used to work for, and they have those meetings in Indiana.
Are there any others like that maybe you can share?
There's like ISACA.
ISACA for sure.
It's a good
And they have
one.
finance ISACA.
Yeah, there's a good group for that in Indy. I mean, there's just a lot of them. And then you'll like run into the same people over and over and they'll like tell you which ones are probably the best. to be
Scott,
involved in.
here, Scott, you can definitely go to Scott. He's in the know. He knows
Yeah.
everyone. He knows what's going on.
Yes.
Pick his brain, ask him for coffee, right? What should I be
Any-
doing? Where should I be involved? Like, who can I be talking to? Reach out to Mark. I'm sure he's on. Reach out to him and ask him, what do you suggest? Where should I be plugged in? Did you have a question, sir?
Oh, yeah. Confucius once said, very optimistically, if I see three men walking, is one of them to be my teacher.
That's right.
So like you mentioned, like you were at a convention, so you talked to 100 people and like you're feel like a best friend to each of them. So after that, do you think how many of them have you actually get something out of that meeting so that you can either get in touch, but get back in touch with them later on some other business, or like that interaction left with some useful piece of knowledge or whatever?
So there's a couple answers to that for me at least, and I don't know for you, but I would look at one who I qualified for work purposes. Who are the people that have an active deal or a thing, a potential relationship, partnership, etc., that I could talk to, and I follow up on those. It's kind of like, I don't want to be the stalker girlfriend. I don't overdo it, but I also, I'm like, hey, let's catch up. And I don't try to do it every day. That's a little bit much. If you start doing that, people are going to be like, I don't want to talk to this person. If you're going to be emailing me every day, I don't need that, like just once in a while. And then there's the people that I click with, right? And then it's like, oh my God, I found this lady or this other human in the room that like I completely had a great conversation with. They seem to be great. They know their stuff. Maybe they're a friend or a competitor or whatever, but like I keep those relationships, just check in. How's it going? It's been a year. I haven't seen you. What have you been up to? Here's a picture of my kids or my dog or whatever that is, just checking in. Are you going to the conference again? Will I see you in a year? That kind of thing. You don't have to be friends with all 100. You don't even have to connect with all 100. Would it be great? Probably, right? For the network, for growing that LinkedIn presence.
How can anyone manage to remember how many?
Oh,
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Yeah. LinkedIn helps me track it. Again, LinkedIn has become my tool. Like it's like my, if we're LinkedIn, we're friends. Like we're we're people, we're besties.
But like every sentence she says will have like 6 names in it, and I'll be like, yeah. I don't know who any of those people are. None of them. Cool.
Yeah.
But she does. She knows who they all are.
I try to remember, or at least my early days when we had business cards, I would just write a note on the back of a business card. Here's what they said or what we talked about. Here's what, whatever. So I try to take a note and write myself something to remind me like, oh, I talked with the gentleman with the CACR shirt and like, we talked about these 3 things and, or like the tall blonde with the glasses or whatever, like that'll help me trigger my mind to just check in and say something. Did you have a question?
I have a friend he tracks all his connections via like a spreadsheet, and he'll just like update what he talks about every time in the notes. I used to think he was kind of crazy, but now I'm like, maybe he's not a point.
There's a thing about it. Oh yeah, no, listen, I had customers that we would talk about our kids. And so I'm like, the worst thing that where is each person geographically located? I'm terrible with them.
Mhm.
So when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Indy. Oh, who are all the people in Indy? Now I
Yeah.
do a better job of remembering because we have events and things. But like that was one of the things that I had a really hard time. And it's not a bad idea to track them on a spreadsheet, just to be like, she was wearing a burgundy shirt and we spoke about these 3 things and she told me about her puppy. Let me ask about the puppy next time. Let me ask about, you know what I mean? Like whatever that is, just find something relevant, common ground, talk about that. Yes.
So I found looking up on LinkedIn myself, because you use LinkedIn quite a lot. Does LinkedIn have that kind of feature where I can see chronologically when I added people? Maybe
You can see
feature-
where when you added them.
How about, can you leave notes? for each individual send you that?
You can send them a message on LinkedIn, but you can't write a note like
No, not private.
the burgundy, yeah, I don't think so. That might be good. We should
Mhm.
reach out to the LinkedIn people and be like, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Research. Yes,
There's an app I've used at conferences, Biz Connect.
uh-huh.
You can literally like scan the business card and then you have.
It
all-
uploads it into your, yeah. I tried that for a
And
while.
you can include notes in that.
Yeah.
Notes and like when you met them, where you met them, and any other notes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Export them, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you can connect that to your business card.
I've seen that. And I tried that early on. I bought the scanner and I would take pictures, but it was like, again, I'm like mass meeting people that it's like, oh, now I have all this extra work and then I have to do my expenses and all of these receipts. I'm the worst with expenses. So I'm like, oh, that's a lot of work. So I guess it's just become a thing, but I would start with a spreadsheet for sure. Did you have another question?
The written voice matters. I'm not an introvert, but I am like, I consider myself a digital introvert.
Okay,
How would you recommend someone do that written voicing articles, blogs, LinkedIn posts, if they are not super experienced or very
do you want to
comfortable
move on to the LinkedIn?
creating an online presence
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, I think we have our thing on LinkedIn here. Yeah, so leads right into, start with your profile, obviously, right? You have a headshot. If you don't want your headshot for privacy reasons, I know a lot of people that are like, I'm not putting my face out there. I'm like, everyone's been breached and everybody knows what you look like, but it's fine. I understand it. You don't want people to track you. Like, use an animation or an AI cartoon or something that's meaningful to you. It could be your school logo or the grass or the beach, whatever makes you happy. Just something that's representative of you that people can be like, oh, that's her, that person, whatever. Make sure you have a clear kind of statement, make sure you have a good presence, get in groups, right? Look up if you're in cybersecurity, what cybersecurity groups, what local Indiana groups, whatever groups that might be of interest to you, you'll see some of that content come along. And publish things around that. I don't feel comfortable creating my own content. Again, I'm like super friendly with people. I will repost things from my company, right? So Ponderance, we do a blog on, this is the new malware or the new thing that we're seeing out of all these ransomwares. So we're going to post about that and I'm going to push that out to my connections. I want them to see different sides of me, right? The non-technical side where I'm pushing things, hey, I just attended this conference and it was great. Here's some pictures of us doing X, Y, and Z. I've been publishing a lot on IWCA, the women's group, and I'll talk to you guys about that in a little bit. But long story short, it's a women's group. Everyone is welcome. It just started by a ton of women that were like, every time we go to conferences, it's just a bunch of men. We want a seat at the table kind of thing. We started a group and what we ultimately decided is it started by women, but it's all inclusive for everyone to be a part of. It's on LinkedIn. We have a group. We do thought leadership sessions like this one, talks about anything from personal growth to cybersecurity things to, global. So we have I'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah. So content strategy, engagement habits. So we're talking about, commenting on other people's things, liking posts, sharing things, etc. I don't know if you want to add anything else. I'm like looking at the time.
I'm a digital extrovert, so I excel online just because it's the opposite, I think, of my in-person introvert. But I do have a lot of
That's
success.
funny. I'm the opposite, right? I'm in
Yeah.
person and then digitally I don't, yeah.
Yeah. It like the things that are in my brain that I barely get to come out of my mouth are much better coming out of my hands. But I do have a lot of success with I have a very sarcastic personality and I like to joke around a lot with people. And so when there are like exorbitant amounts of really serious professional posts on LinkedIn, I love to add like a little joke or so every now and then. And not like too weird, but I'll give like a good IT or lawyer. I get a lot of lawyer jokes in there. That tends to grab a lot of attention for the posts that I like, whatever it is that I'm, here to read this article or we have a job posting, then I'll put a joke like what I posted and it tends to grab more attention, I think.
I think a big takeaway is just put yourself out there, whether in person or digitally. Yes, sir.
I once thought about starting a blog post myself. But the first risk that I thought at the time you ran into is like, I'm gonna be writing something that people are not gonna agree with. Right?
Everyone doesn't have to agree with you,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're putting out your thoughts. You're putting out what you want. And by the way, you might not have any traction the first 50 or 100 times. You might have 3 cats liking it and Like, that's okay. Keep doing it. Like, the influencers didn't get to be influencers overnight, right? They grew their presence. I would keep do it. Go for it. Like, if you want to start a blog, go start a blog. Tell your friends, tell your family, mom, dad, like it. Go for it. Like, push it out, push it to your network. I like it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I comment on people's stuff like, hey, commenting for my network because it's important. I have another lawyer friend that's going to be doing like a sailing thing to support, you know, hospice homes. I just went in and it's like commenting for my network. Hopefully other people can, if not donate, they can at least see what you're doing and like help bring attention to it. Do it. Go for it.
Or if you keep it educational, it doesn't always have to be like inflammatory or, you know, like an editorial that has strong opinions. You can regularly keep things educational or use lawyer speak of like, well, it likely, blah, 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 or it depends, but it might, blah, blah, blah. If you keep it like vague enough in that way, then it's not as inflammatory, I think, as others, especially because I think social media is probably the one place where people go to become the most incensed about what they're reading. So the more you can maybe keep it more vague, like some of the best podcasts are people who do a very good job of keeping a middle ground in what they're talking about, right? And a lot of times it's because they're like investigating something and reciting the facts.
The one thing I would say, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good,
The
you're
one
good.
thing I would say professionally, do not talk politics or religion. Seriously, don't do it. There's been times when people do it and I'm like, take that down right now. We're not gonna talk about politics. We're not gonna talk about religion because it's not about that, right? We're here to talk business. I don't have to agree with you religion wise or politics wise. It doesn't matter, right? Like I can be red, purple, like as long as we can have a civil conversation and I can share information with you, that's what's important, right? So keep those things out, like of your blogs, out of conversations, like
Unless you
people
wanna
talk about
attract
that.
a like-minded network of individuals.
Even,
right?
when people start talking to me about politics, I'm like, that's great. I don't wanna get into that. I have friends in every side of the spectrum and every line, religion wise and politics. It's just, for me, that's my number one rule. Do not talk about politics or religions. It's just, that's for you to have your
Want
own
your
thing.
personal brand to be related to that.
Unless,
Yeah.
unless you're like
Yeah.
a political, you know, head or whatever, that's what you're doing. But again, respectfully for me, I'm like, just don't. Already in my thoughts. Oh,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Do you want me to pass?
Yeah, well, we
You're
talked
good?
about this, different
Okay.
research, participation, follow up. So,
Okay.
yeah, we can probably,
5 minutes.
yeah. So IWCA, this is, we actually won an award, which I'm super proud of. We call it Cyber Prom. I'm covering my Cyber Prom.
I am sorry.
No, I'm kidding. You're fine. You're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's, so we started the group. There was a lunch supposed to happen with a bunch of women and, some stuff happened and we were like, you know what? Like, we want this to be about everyone. Having been a newcomer to the industry, I just was like, it's hard to talk to people that are up there that know their stuff, that have been around. A lot of these people knew each other from 20 years ago. They went to school together. They started things. I just felt like such an outsider. And I said, what things can we be doing to bridge that gap, to help people get to that next level, to help people meet people, to help people connect? I used to think, well, there's 100 other vendors just like me. There's 100 other people that are doing what I'm doing. How can I come and differentiate myself, right? And then we started, again, creating groups and such. I'm privileged to work in a space where we have a ton of lawyers, a ton of people that are really pushing forth for each other, that are wanting to support each other and have each other's backs. So we were able to start a nonprofit. Again, we started Thought Leadership Remote. We started doing a book club every quarter. We have a mentorship program. That's actually what I was listening into when I went in here. You have the big cheeses of the industry mentoring the newcomers and the newer people. And they go through a cohort of, you know, there's a whole curriculum, if you will. It's all volunteer work. We're all doing it out of the kindness of our heart. It's been amazing. It's been a lot of growth. Again, we won an award, which was amazing. At the Cyber Prom, literally hashtag Cyber Prom, look it up. It's a thing. Super proud of that. But yeah, created a group. We now have a newsletter. We have a mentorship committee. We have sponsors, like everyone in the industry, law firms, carriers, brokers are sponsoring us. It allows me personally, I'm in the sponsorship concierge, the white glove service. So, you know, hey, let's talk every day, or not every day, but, you know, let's touch base. Let's talk about what you want to see, what you want to contribute in terms of blogs or information for the newsletter for the members. So we went from 10 of us we launched a UK chapter, we have a French chapter, we have a Canadian chapter. And north of 1,000 people in less than a year. So it's been incredible. Great growth. Again, we have students. We're gonna be standing up a scholarship program in the next year. Again, something else that I'm heading. So I'm super proud and looking forward to all the continued growth with IWCA. So I think we talked about that, investing in others.
We keep going.
Yeah,
There's
yeah, I
like
think,
5
I mean,
minutes left.
I think we,
Three
yeah,
minutes
we have 3 minutes,
Yeah.
and I wanna make sure that if you guys have any other questions, I think we covered a lot of this. Again, LinkedIn, keep in touch, stay in touch, you'll have my LinkedIn, thing, QR code, and then Corey's LinkedIn QR code.
They kind of look alike a little bit. you
They
know?
do, yeah, and also, you have the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to do my black screen, but it's fine. That's what we got. Connect with us, ask us questions, follow up. You know, don't be shy about talking to people and making sure that you're staying connected with them. It's important to have a mentor. It's important to put yourself out there. I know it's not easy. Again, I used to be very shy and quiet and like, I don't wanna get out there and do it, but I guess my career and my job itself has forced me to, so I would just leave you guys with that, like, just go for it.
Any
Put
other
yourself out
questions?
there. Yeah, any questions or comments?
No.
Oh, suddenly you guys are shy. There we go. Yes.
You were just talking about getting the right people engaged with solving the problem, right? Sometimes I've noticed that while we're communicating to the SMEs,
Mhm.
sometimes they just don't get the idea, like what's happening on ground. It's really critical for us, enablers to get the right listed to other people. And you have been part of the groups as well, right?
Yeah.
Right? So how do you ensure that, like, you're sending the, really give us the right message, people understand the gravity of what's going on?
Personally, I go to my CEO and I'm like, oh my God, like you need to listen. I need you to support me. I mean, again, I just, again, I think a lot of people, including myself, I was really hesitant to speak up or be too loud in the room. But I've learned that like it makes a difference. Talk to the person that you're with or say, I don't think you understand the gravity of what you're not covering in X, Y, and Z. Or maybe talk to one person and then another that were in the room separately. Instead of like, hey, let me like put a landmine and blow it up in here. Let's talk privately. Let's follow up on this.
Also, like, to understand the priority of the person that you're talking to, this me, understanding what drives them and their decision making. So whether it's budget, whether it's risk, whether it's industry reputation, and use that to your advantage in your presentation to, like, I'd hate to call it a scare tactic, but in cyber, we do use a lot of scare tactics. We start presentations with, here's the 5 breaches that happened in the last 24 hours, or here's the last 3 settlement costs for the non-compliance with this particular law, right? It was $5 million for this organization, 600,000 for this small organization. And I know it does come off as a scare tactic, but it's also factually correct. And so if that individual, or, it's me that you're speaking with, you've got to tie your presentation and what you were worried about, your escalated issue to fact, but also to a decision driver, really specifically, and like what is going to get their attention and make them be like, yeah, I don't really want that to happen, right? Like that's what you're looking for in those cases too.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for taking the time to visit with us today. I hope it brought a little bit of value or some value at all. And again,
Got
if
a
you guys
LinkedIn
wanna follow
connection.
up- yeah, at the minimum, you got
It's on
2 new
LinkedIn,
ones.
yeah.
So thank you all for stopping in.
Thank you.
You do.